Hey guys, so I've abandoned one of my other channels and I'm kind of just bringing a couple of videos on there over onto this channel, which is going to be my main source. The other videos were about periodization, and I kind of just want to bring that forward again and put it through to its natural conclusion, so that you guys have a better understanding. Hopefully by the end of this series you'll have a better understanding of, or you'll be able to write your own program considering recovery, volume, intensity, frequency, and where you can start off from, which is often one of the harder things to do. I'm going to focus this entire session, or this entire video, pretty much on volume, which is a really fancy term for how much work you can do in a particular session. That session could be, or in a particular time period, I should say. So if you're a runner, that's going to be how many miles you do in a week. Or if you're a weightlifter, that could be the amount of kilos lifted per session, per week, per month, per year, etc. So it really is just how much work you do in a set time period. As a coach, this is kind of the main variable that I'm looking at increasing. It's kind of a blanket statement for everything of a well-trained athlete will be able to handle more volume than an undertrained athlete or an untrained athlete or someone who's brand new to the gym. Somebody who's been doing it for a while can do more than somebody who hasn't, which again is really common sense stuff. If you said you wanted to run a marathon, I would assume that you weren't going to go out tomorrow to run a marathon, and you would understand that you need to train to get up to that point. You need to gradually increase the amount of miles that you do until you are at that point, which is exactly what volume does, or what periodization does. We're manipulating a training variable to achieve a certain outcome. So in the marathon example, we were manipulating volume, the amount of miles that we do, to achieve the ultimate marathon, which is a really kind of like, again, common sense principle. It's hard to talk about volume though without talking about overreaching or overtraining. And I'm kind of going to say that overtraining is pretty much reserved for kind of the elite level athletes. It's going to be very rare a condition or a very rare case in which a recreational athlete manages to achieve that level of exhaustion, essentially. You have to remember that professional athletes have an exceptional level of nutrition, hydration, sleep, etc. They're so monitored under well-controlled conditions that in order to achieve that level of exhaustion, they have to train really, really fucking hard, which is just unlikely for us to do. Now, volume will dictate the total workload in the session, but it doesn't necessarily dictate the type of adaptation. So if we have a look at two different examples of one guy who lifts one set of one at 100 kilos versus another guy who does 10 sets of 10 at 10 kilos, we have the same overall workload. So they're both lifted 100 kilos over the course of their session, but obviously these are two very different stimulus, and will result in two very different types of adaptation. Now that type of adaptation is largely dictated over what's called intensity, which is what I'm going to talk about in the next video.